Here with Concordia head men's soccer coach Jason Weides to preview the 2018 season. As we record this, you've had a few days of preseason camp already. Last year, if we just look at that quickly, I know you had a legitimate chance to win conference championships in the regular season and in the postseason. What does that just say about how this program has progressed?
I think it speaks volumes in that this was maybe the first time that we've had a legitimate shot to win the regular season title. I think that we've strived for that. Unfortunately, some years we just haven't made it. This is the closest we've ever been to actually kind of tangibly being able to reach out and touch the trophy. And unfortunately, we came so close, but weren't able to win the regular season. But we knew we had a second shot with the conference tournament, and we were expecting to get back to the final, and the guys worked hard and did. And again, so close. I think last season maybe that was the story over a couple times, is that we were so close to winning two conference championships outright. But we're looking to do that this year instead.
It's a big senior class, as we've talked about before. What's one thing that you hope maybe the returners from this year learn from the example that they set?
I mean, yeah, that's hard to sum up. I mean, our seniors provided so much, and they set a great example. The way they trained in the off season, to me, always stood out, is that they really wanted it, and they knew they had to put in work to get there. I think our seniors helped create a really positive team culture over the last 4 years, and to me that's where they really leave their legacy. Certainly we're going to miss them on the field and all the attributes that they had and the abilities that they added to our team, whether it's defending, scoring goals, all the little things that they did. But I think it's really what they provided from a team chemistry standpoint, and really along with that, leadership. I mean, I think they did a really good job of developing into leadership roles over their time here, and last year I think had some great success with being great leaders and mentoring some of these young guys. So I think that's where it'll pay off the most, is that even in the off season in the spring, when these guys weren't training with us every day anymore, they were still finding ways to put their arm around some of these young guys and help mold them so they're prepared to succeed this year.
From what I could tell, Aries Foong is the only player left that actually played in the GPAC tournament championship game that you won in 2015. For a while, maybe you weren't sure if he was coming back, but what does it give you to have another guy with that experience? It's
nice. Aries is a great player and has some great attributes, and he's a guy that was set to graduate this past May and did, and fortunately we had a program for him to come back as a graduate student because he did have the extra year of eligibility. So he'll be playing with us as a graduate student this year, and it's nice. I mean, it's anytime you can bring experience back, guys who have started games, played in a lot of minutes over their career, and have the ability that he has. It's certainly going to help our team add some depth, and really I think even enhance our midfield area this year.
Yeah, we discussed in the spring a little bit about how this program's been successful after it has said goodbye to good senior classes. What have you seen, maybe even in the few days of preseason camp as we record this, that gives you some confidence in doing that again?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, they came out here and they're buzzing around, and that's usually what happens in these first few days, but there's some real quality to them buzzing around as well. And we certainly aren't playing at a championship level right now, and I don't think many teams are. But I think given what we've seen so far, we're confident that we can get there over time, and I think it's a team that will continue to improve as the season wears on. And I think some of the early maybe question marks regarding this team would be, where are we going to get all these goals from last year, given that we had some seniors, 3 of those guys in particular, who scored so many goals and assisted so many goals for us over the course of last year. I think it's pretty clear that we've got some guys who are going to put the ball in the back of the net, and the reality is that we're going to have some tough decisions to make in terms of how to put this team together, because I think there's a little bit of depth in the attacking positions for our team as well.
When you lose that kind of goal scoring, is there maybe some tactical tweaks that you're looking at this spring, or that's maybe things that still have to unfold over the next couple weeks?
Yeah, some of it's going to just unfold over the next couple weeks naturally. But the reality is some of it has to change because we're just different personnel. It's not just a matter of this guy's capable of scoring 15, 20 goals and this guy's not. It's sometimes this guy plays this way and it fits with our style and here's how we utilize them, where now we have just guys who have different attributes. So we can potentially press differently defensively. We can look to possess the ball differently. I'm sure there's going to be some differences this year within our team, kind of all under the context of the philosophies that we're trying to get our team to play.
Is Carlos Ferrer maybe one of those guys that you look at as a potential goal scorer? What do you expect his biggest contributions to be?
I think his biggest contribution is I think there's going to be some teams that are defenders in particular that know who he is, and he's a guy that I just see running at teams. He loves to get the ball and run at people, and he's been really effective over this offseason and so far early this spring at running at players, getting behind them, loves to go out in 1v1, and he is going to create chances. And he's a guy that is going to create chances for our team, not only for himself but for the team. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is putting a few goals in the back of that.
Well, I'm sure there's a comfort too in having a senior goalkeeper. What's that expectation like for Jack Bennett his last year?
Good. We're excited about Jack. I mean, obviously he had a great year last year and just seems to be getting better all the time. I think he's a guy that has really come into his own, both over the course of last year, and then he had the opportunity to play this summer at a good level, which I think helped prepare him. And you can really tell when guys come in, the guys that had an opportunity to play a lot over the summer, especially at high levels, and the guys that maybe just didn't get as many opportunities through their work schedules or whatever else. But he was one of those guys who played a lot this summer and just looks really sharp. It's a situation where we don't have to dust anything off or get rid of the rust. He's playing at a really high level.
And with some of the newcomers, what does that group give you? I know you have that little bit of a pipeline from Marshalltown, what we talked about, but overall as a class, what do they provide?
I think it's a good class. We're excited about it. I think that there are some guys that it's pretty obvious that they're going to be able to impact the team right away from day one. And we've got this group of guys too that within this freshman class or the newcoming class that they will impact us, whether it's in day one or day 5 or at some point throughout the season or later in their career. It's a really solid class, and I think that it's helping to elevate our overall depth, the quality of our training sessions, and it's going to pay off. I think it's we're pretty happy with the class so far.
Well, one of the big differences from a schedule standpoint is you have the 11 conference games this year with Jamestown and presentation on the schedule. How much do you put into getting a feel for your new conference opponents during the off season?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I'm not sure if we have played Jamestown and Presentation, the 2 new teams added to our slate. If we have, it's been a long time since we've played them. I'm just not aware of it. The reality is we're not going to know as much about them heading into those games as we know about the other conference opponents. And to a certain extent, we'll have to treat it a little bit more like it's a non-conference game, because some of these early non-conference games, we're just not able to get as much scouting information or video or just know as much about them. Or, like I said, it's just a team we're not as familiar with. So we'll have to, with those 2 opponents, we'll certainly have to be, I think, more adaptive in game, but we'll certainly be prepared and know enough about them to be successful.
Well, I think it's gotten to a point where right now everyone thinks it's Hastings and Concordia in the conference final, like it's been the last 3 years, and obviously the preseason rankings have a lot to do with what happened the previous year. How do you address that with your team, if at all?
Well, it's just pretty much like you described. That's last year's accomplishments. That's what we told our team in the preseason meeting when that just came out, that hey, this is great, but the reality doesn't mean anything for us. This is something to credit last year's team, and we kind of challenged our team, if they want that credit, then a year from now when we have our preseason meeting and that comes out next year, If you want to be that high or higher, then that's based on our accomplishments this year. So we've got to wait until next year at this point to really see those accomplishments. So our guys, I don't think, are reading too much into it. Certainly it's nice to be recognized at a higher position. But ultimately, what we told the team is that just means that everybody else is gunning for you. You know, we historically over the last few years have had some success, obviously, but it's been from a little bit of an underdog position, a team that I don't think we necessarily got the best of every single team when they played us because they maybe didn't think as highly of us. So we kind of snuck under the radar a little bit, where now I don't think we're going to sneak under the radar. We're certainly going to get the best of every team that faces us. So it'll be a real challenge to get the best of every team every time we step out on the field.